Let's have a conversation.
What's happening, everybody? I hope everyone's doing well out there. If you haven't yet, please make sure to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to get notified of when I drop some more great content. So we are going to dive right into this Challenge Ride or Dies episode 13 recap. It starts with Fessy having a conversation with Mariah where he's basically just letting her know he's pissed off that she used a burn vote in a case where she could have tied up the votes, and she was telling him that she was sorry, but she was also saying in the confessional, and she also said in a couple of podcasts, that she was worried about the scenario of the votes being tied, and then somebody from her team has to go into the elimination because the votes are tied. So she's kind of trying to smooth things over with him, but also behind the scenes, we kind of know that at this point, she thinks that she made the right move by doing the burn vote and letting him go into the elim, because it's a situation where it was like, number one, they weren't getting along at that time, and number two, it was like, if it's him or somebody on my team, I'd rather it be him. So that's the reason why that went the way that it went. We get into another Jordan Tori argument, which has been a recurring theme, and Jordan was basically telling Tori that he doesn't like the fact that she was saying to him, the choice that you make in terms of who goes into the elimination is going to affect our standing outside of the game. And as I said in the last recap, I would not like that either. The thing is, I feel like he probably would have chosen Fessy to go in anyways. That's my feelings on that. I think he probably would have chosen Fessy to go in anyways, but Tori using it in that way gave him an easy out and a person to pin it on. So I don't think that Tori was right in that. I think that Jordan was being petty, and he was probably upset at the things that have gone on in this season and the way that Tori was targeting Nurys and ultimately got her out. I think that it was a case of two wrongs. And the place where I think that he went wrong is not even hooking up with Nurys. He's allowed to do that. He has a right to do that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But in terms of whatever happened with Tori first, I think that he was trying to have his cake and eat it too. So if he wanted to go in there single and just go after whoever he wants to go after, he can do that. But don't get together with your ex first and then have talks with her about wanting to see where things go outside of the house or whatever he said first. That was his area where he messed up. Tori's mind is out of the game, clearly, because I can see clearly that this Jordan situation is just taking her out mentally. You can see it with each progressive episode that Tori is getting really deep into this Jordan thing, and she's thinking more about the situation with Jordan than she is about the $1 million on the line. That's clear. And I get it. They were in a very serious relationship. They lived together. They were engaged. But it's not a good look for the game, for either of them, really. But I feel like more for her than him, because I feel like plans to be on the challenge for many, many, many years. She plans to be a challenge staple. So she needs to get her head in the game. And her head has been out of the game this season. Fessy's team tries to rally a little bit. Not that they have many losses under their belt, but they were like, now we know what it feels like to lose. We don't want to have that feeling again. So we've got to get this W in today's daily challenge. Devin says that his point was to cause emotional damage on the other team. So they're all happy that they won the last daily, and they're like, why not get another daily win to cause some more damage on the team? And this week was a girls' elimination week. So it has a scene where Nanny and Casey are together, and Nanny and Casey are celebrating. They release some balloons in memory of Nanny's mother who passed, and that's been something they've been talking about this season. That Nanny's mother. This is the first season that Nanny has done since the time her mother passed, and that her mother is her motivation for her to keep going this season. So they have an emotional scene where Casey is like, your mother is watching you, looking down on you, and she would be proud of you and what you're doing this season. So I think it's nice. There could never really be enough scenes about that. You only get one mother. And I know that this was a hard season for Nanny to even attend, let alone be the person she is and do as well as she's doing. I wrote down production set Fessy up. Not really, but it kind of felt that way. So we get into this daily challenge. And the daily challenge reminds me of like another version of a mini final, except without the running. They had like a mini final in a previous episode, and the mini final was essentially running in puzzles. So this time the mini final was this thing that they did with a slingshot and a couple of puzzles and eating. Eating was involved. That's why I say it was kind of like a mini final. So Jordan volunteers to go first for his team, and then Fessy volunteers to go first. And then TJ asked Fessy why he chose to go first, to volunteer to go first, and he's like, because Jordan is going. So he wanted to go against Jordan. This whole I'm a competitor thing. Now, sidebar. I've always thought to myself, if I was on a challenge, would I want to go the route of I want to compete against the best people and beat the best people, or would I want to go the Johnny Bananas route and be like, I will take the path of least resistance, try to form as big of an alliance as possible, and try to use some other people to get rid of the stronger people so I can go against less strong people in the final. The Johnny Bananas route. And to tell you the truth, I would probably do that route over doing a route of being like, oh, I'm honorable and I want to go against the best of the best. No, I want to win the money. I don't care if I go against the best. So when I see what this thing is, they have to slingshot this thing and hit a target 3 times. And every time they miss the target, they get a concoction that they have to drink. And I was like, Eden? Yes. Fessy's greatest weakness. Fessy's greatest weakness. As soon as I saw that, I was already cheering. I didn't know who was going to win, but I was already cheering. So it seems like it was hard for both of them, both Fessy and Jordan. And they were both throwing up a lot. A thing that I noted is the fact that Fessy's team was laughing at him a lot. And I know the reason they were laughing at him is because Fessy claims to be the best of the best, the cream of the crop, the best at everything. But we remember his history when he quit at an eating challenge. And eating is a proponent of almost every final at this point in time. So I think that's why they were laughing at him, to finally see him in a spot where he's vulnerable. Now, here's a big talking point of what happened. Devin decided to help. Of course, he was helping his teammate, which is Jordan. He was telling Jordan how to position the slingshot to hit the targets. And it looks like with his help, Jordan was able to hit those targets as he needed to. And he was ahead by a wide margin. So Fessy is struggling and struggling and struggling and struggling and throwing up and throwing up and throwing up, struggling and struggling. And apparently, Tori yells out to Devin, "Hey, Devin, help him." Why? He's not on your team, man. He says that he did it because his ride or die on the other side, Tori, told him to. Let's break this down. We are doing a daily challenge. There's 3 parts to this daily challenge. I believe it was 3 parts. And everything is timed. So for me, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care how bad you feel for Fessy, and I don't care if your ride or die on the other team told you, hey, you should help him. You're trying to win for your team. You're trying to win for your team. So therefore, you don't help the other team. You can let Fessy sit out there all day. And as soon as I heard them say, oh, the other team has such a big lead, they have the 40-minute lead, they have this huge lead, there's no way they could lose, I was like, more foreshadowing. Mariah's team probably lost. And it's going to come back to the fact that Devin decided to help Fessy for whatever reason. Even Horacio was like, I don't care how big a lead we have. You don't help a person on the other team. Man, they need to have some coaching before they go on these shows. I can't even say that because Devin's been on plenty of them. Devin made an uncharacteristic mistake in helping Fessy to finish that challenge. So anyways, Jordan wins by, I think it was 25 minutes or something like that. 23 minutes, 25 minutes. So they have like a 23 to 25 minute lead. But you don't even know what the next 2 things are for real. So you should be trying to get as wide a lead as possible. So that was a big mistake. Matter of fact, Devin, I wish that we had watched this episode when you came here for Challenge Mania. Because then I could have told you that to your face when I saw you. Like, come on, bro. What are you doing? Going off episode 1, I didn't have too much to go off of. But I would have told him, like, hey, Devin, man, this is not like you. This is so uncharacteristic of you to do something like that. Anyways, where are we at here? So we're into this puzzle, which was Nanny and Devin against Aneesa and Olivia. So everyone's thinking of Devin as puzzle champion. So it's the assumption that Nanny and Devin would beat Aneesa and Olivia, but Aneesa and Olivia actually won. It doesn't seem like by much. I think they won by a minute or 2. Devin was mad at himself because he volunteered and he's known as the puzzle guy, and they didn't win that particular heat. But that heat was not really the deciding heat anyways. So there was a final one, which was a memory challenge, which was Amber and Horacio against Bananas and Tori. I forgot exactly the phrase that Tori said, but it's like, I'm probably going to mess this up, but it was like, I'm not, the sharpest tool in the shed, but I'm a tool. She didn't say that, but she was basically just saying, I think she might have said, I'm not the brightest bulb. I don't remember. I didn't write down the exact quote, but the point of what she was getting at was like, the only thing left is memory. And memory is not my strong point. My strong point is just physical. But the other 2 rounds are gone and I have to do something. So that's what I'm going to do. And same with Bananas. Bananas, I have always felt is the most opportunistic challenger of all time. I don't think he's the best at anything, really. The only thing that I would say that he probably has an advantage over other people is that he's very good at endurance and also like mentally being in the game. I think those are his 2 greatest strengths. But in terms of the actual activities themselves, I don't think he's the best at anything. So I already figured that they were going to lose that heat, and they did. They definitely lost that heat against Amber and Horacio, who are 2 strong competitors, by the way. So we get into this last round, and TJ is like, it's still not over. They had like a 37-minute lead or something like that. The underdog team had like a 37-minute lead. And TJ is like, hey, you guys remember, we still have a round left and every minute counts, okay? So we have Chauncey and Casey against Jordan and Mariah. I already knew that was a mismatch. I know that Jordan is a dog. I know that Jordan is a strong competitor. He overcomes obstacles. I know that Mariah, even though this is her rookie season, she's a strong competitor as well. But I definitely saw Casey and Chauncey automatically as having an advantage. The only thing I was thinking is Chauncey going to throw it? That's the only thing that I thought of. But aside from that, if they were both giving a max effort or anything close to it, I saw Chauncey and Casey definitely winning this heat. The thing is, Chauncey and Casey won the heat, and Jordan and Mariah timed out. They could not get it together. And now this whole thing of helping Fessy comes back to haunt them, because it's like Fessy is like, eating is not his thing. So if you had just left him and then he had to figure out the whole slingshot thing by himself, he might have timed out himself, or he might have taken so long that they would have had a much longer window. Either way, even if Jordan and Mariah could never have completed that thing, it would still haunt me in my head. Like, I should never have helped Fessy. That was a bad move. So Fessy's team wins again. And they have 3 women to pick from, and the pickings are slim at this point. The 3 choices are Amber, Nanny, and Mariah. That's it. 2 of the 3 of them are going in. So it's basically a situation of one person is going to get the direct vote to go in, and the other 2 are going to have a 50-50 chance at the safe dagger. No good deed goes unpunished. True, Patricia. That's true. So we get into, I guess I didn't really take these notes about the whole situation of I forget what it's called, the deliberation. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. I don't have notes on the deliberation, but I remember that Amber basically said, I don't want to go against Nanny. You know, Mariah's a rookie. She said to them, like, she hasn't proven herself. I've proven myself. As a rookie, I had to prove myself. Nanny is my friend. So pretty much, I want you guys to make Mariah the direct vote. Nanny, when Nanny was in there, her campaign was basically like, she didn't directly throw a shot at Mariah, I don't think, but she was pretty much saying, that's who I want you guys to pick as a direct vote. You know, I have several alliances with all y'all in here. Nanny basically knew that she wasn't going to be the direct vote. Let's be honest. Her being in there was just a formality. It was a choice between Amber and Mariah. That's really what was going on there. Mariah goes in there. She played the whole game of like, I respect y'all choices either way. I'm not the biggest threat, blah, blah, blah. But Fessy chose that time to kind of avenge for the situation that happened with him, to where he was telling all of his teammates, the person that I expected to have my back was Mariah. Mariah didn't really have my back. And then it cuts to like a thing of Johnny being like, well, Fessy is pretty much letting us know that we can pick Mariah to go in the elim with no consequences. Because the only consequence really would be Mariah being upset. I mean, not Mariah being upset, I'm sorry. Bananas being upset. Hi, Harriet. Let me redo that. The consequence of Mariah being the direct vote could have been Fessy being upset. But because Fessy was like, well, I thought that she had my back, but she didn't necessarily have my back. So therefore, you guys can do what you got to do. Fessy basically was like, I washed my hands of this situation. It's out of my hands. I'm not going to say her name myself, but it's out of my hands. So we get into the elimination choices, and the majority of the team picks Mariah. Mariah goes in. So then TJ is like, it's a 50-50 shot. Amber, pick one of the daggers. Pick one of the daggers. So Amber is like, oh my God, I don't want to pick. I don't want Nanny to have to go in, blah, blah, blah. Which dagger should I choose? Which dagger should I choose? So Amber ends up picking the safe dagger. Fussy is too big to be that selfish. Yeah. The show you're speaking on, when does it come on? The show comes on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, MTV. And you can also watch the replays on the MTV app. Yeah, so Amber picks a safe dagger. So that means it is Nanny versus Mariah. And what they have to do is basically this word scrambler. So they're attached to this harness, and they have to run and use their body weight to unveil the words for the word scrambler, figure out what the word is, and then put the words on a board. And you're only going to really understand what I'm saying if you saw the episode. So they put the words on a board. They have to figure it out. It was very, very close. It was very, very, very close. So we get to the very end. They make it really dramatic. And it looks like Nanny finished first. And then she was like, check, because that's what they usually say. That's what they usually say when they finish whatever it is. And then TJ was like, you have to press the buzzer. So it seems like Mariah pressed the buzzer first and Nanny pressed it a couple of seconds after. But then Mariah looked at her board and realized that she had spelled one of the words wrong. And she already said it. She was like, I spelled one of the words wrong. And TJ was like, that is incorrect. So that means Nanny spelled all the words right. So she won by a hair. If Mariah had spelled all the words correctly, she would have been the winner. But because she misspelled that word, it was over for her. But as we know, they don't know yet, but we know that Mariah is still in the game. So far, Kenny is in the cut. Kenny, Casey's brother, is still in the cut because Casey's still in the game. And now Mariah is still in the game because her ride or die, Fessy, is still in the game. And I would venture to say that it's a good chance that Fessy will stay in the game. So Mariah will have a chance to come back in the game. And I would love to see that. I would love to see that. Jordan is the one I'm impressed with by this season. He has grown emotionally. He has grown emotionally. I agree. But there's some elements of Jordan that are still Jordan. That's what I can say about that. It's like he's a different guy, but there's parts of him that are still the same as how he used to be. The petty side is still there. But I like it though, because we've had so many seasons of these boring people that are like, I'm just here to compete and play the game, and that's it. I like somebody who is willing to stir the pot, mix things up, say things that are spicy, make things interesting. He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys. So I have loved this season so far. I can't wait to see however it concludes. I'm interested to see how the rest of the season goes. I'm interested to see the twist, how that goes with the ride or dies that are waiting in the cut. It's been a good season. It has been a good season. It's had drama. It's had hookups. I'm going to say this too. For everybody that says, I can't get into the show, it's not like the old show. It's not like the old shows. It's not like the old shows. When I say the challenge is back, I don't love this season more than the seasons with all my people. Wes, CT, Cara Maria, like all my classic people. It's not the same. It's never going to be the same as that. But how can you expect a show to be exactly the same for over 20 years? Any show that you've been watching for more than 20 years, there's not many of them, actually, but any show that you know of that has been on the air for more than 20 years is probably drastically different than the first season, the fifth season, the sixth season. They do different things to stay relevant. The world has changed. What can you do? I like the new challengers. They come in with some skills. You know what I like, Patricia? They were bringing in these rookies that were clearly on the show just for the clout. And I understand that it's a different era and that nowadays people play for social media followers and popularity and all that stuff to become influencers. But they brought in a bunch of new challengers that were like one season wonders that only wanted to be on for one season and didn't really care about the game. And it seems like they did a great job this season of casting new people who are really into the show and really respect the challenge. Yes, they want the extra stuff that comes with it, but they actually are into the show. And that's what was missing. I like new Johnny. I like Nerese. I like Horacio. I like Raven. I like Olivia. We have some good rookies. We have some people that I can actually envision when all my favorites finally decide to hang up their jerseys and say that's it, that I can see them taking over. Finally. Because I have a hard time letting go of all these old people that I grew up watching and grew up with. But ultimately, a lot of them are in their late 30s, 40s. Their time is coming to an end in terms of their challenge time. So it's really cool to see people who are possibly going to be able to take the mantle and carry this franchise in the future, because nothing is forever. And we've reached the end of my Challenge Ride or Dies episode 13 recap. Thank you all for tuning in. Please, CT, not CT hanging his towel. I don't know what CT's doing right now. I just know he has a whole lot going on with his messy divorce. So I don't know if we're ever going to see him on the challenge again. I wish we would, but who knows. But thank you all for tuning in. I'm very excited to see what happens next. And until next time, everyone, have a great night.